Good morning, everyone. So, as we have started with the chapter motion and time, so in the first unit, we studied in the previous session, we studied about the definition of what is time. We studied why the standard measurement of unit is required, what's SI unit system. Then we also studied what are the multiples and submultiples of the SI unit system and how can we change them back into their standard form. Okay. So, following it today, now, what's the main objective here, or what all things are we going to cover up in this particular session of ours? So, here today, first, we are going to understand the different units of time. We are going to learn how to convert time, okay, from larger quantity to smaller or from smaller quantity to larger. And we are going to study about the different types of clocks that were there in the earlier time and the basic principle understanding and working of a simple pendulum. So, as we have already talked about what time is and what is the basic unit of time. So, we know what are the time units, what are the units which are used for time for measuring of the time. It's second, minutes, and hours. Correct. So now here you can see in the tabular data what does 60 seconds mean. 60 seconds is equal to what? 1 minute. 60 minutes is equal to what? It is 1 hour. 24 hours is equal to 1 day. 7 days is equal to 1 week. 12 months is equal to 1 year. 10 years is equal to 1 decade. So when I say 10 years, it's next to, or in simple words, I'll say 1 decade. If I'm saying 10 decades, so 10 decades means how many years? That means 100 years in total. So 100 years, when I have to call it out together, I will not say 100 or 10 decades, but then I'll call it as 1 century. And 10 centuries, which is equal to 1,000 years, is equal to 1 millennium. Okay, so these are the different units of time that were that were categorized and that were listed out in a tabular manner. Now, when we talk about the unit of time or how time measurement was done in the earlier eras or in the earlier times, so we had different types of clocks which was used by those people, devised by those people, and based on that, the time interval was studied. But then, what before that, when people didn't even had the understanding of a basic clock, so what did they use at that period of time? Okay, so therein, when people were just progressing, when the civilization was just progressing, at that time, people used to study the movement of the sun, the rising and the setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, the different seasons. People used to study these, and based on that, they used to understand the time period at that era during that period of time. Okay, so based on this, as the civilization progressed, new data, new resources were found, and based on that, clock system was generated, and from there we got these different categories, different units of time, which we have categorized into in the tabular manner, stating seconds, minutes, week, day, year, decades, century, and millennium. Okay, now based on this, the next thing that we are going to learn is how to convert time. Okay, convert time, that means from hours, how can I convert hours to seconds? How can I convert it into minutes? How can I convert seconds into minutes or seconds into hours? So that is the next step that we are going to learn. Okay, so here I now am going to share with you all one of the word file. Sorry. Okay, so here we have this word file. Okay, so here is the question wherein we are going to learn how to convert. Now, one of the basic thing that you need to remember over here is whenever you are converting a larger quantity to smaller quantity. Now, which is the larger quantity over here? When I say hours, minutes, and seconds, which is the larger quantity? It is the hours is the larger quantity. It is a bigger quantity as compared to minutes and seconds. Okay, and when I'm talking about minutes and second, which is the larger quantity? It is the minute. So now when I have to convert a larger quantity to smaller quantity, always remember that we are going to multiply the larger quantity with 60. What are we going to multiply the larger quantity with? We are going to multiply it with 60. So now let's see some examples. So we have two examples over here. We have to convert 5 hours to minutes. Okay. So when I know what 5 hours, now how to convert it into minutes. So what will I do over here is I have a larger quantity that is 5 hours. I am going to multiply it as it is given, going to multiply it with 60. Why 60 am I multiplying it with? So if you remember the earlier table that we were studying, okay, wherein we said 60 seconds is equal to 1 minute and 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Okay, so if 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes, 5 hours are going to be how many minutes? So what am I going to do is I'm going to multiply 5 by with 60, and then the answer that I get over here is 300. Okay, what is the answer that I'm getting over here is 300 minutes. That means 5 hours is equal to 300 minutes. Now then we have a second question again over here, but then there's a difference. Here we have 5 hours, we have to convert it into seconds. Now when I am going to convert hours into second, I need to calculate sequentially. Means first, I will convert hours to minutes and then I will convert that minute data to second. I cannot directly convert hours to second. Okay, so we are going to simplify the calculation. First, I'll convert hours to minutes and then minutes to second. So here again, I am going to multiply it with 60. So already we discussed why with 60, because 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So as I'm multiplying, I'm getting the answer as 30 minutes, which we have already solved in the earlier question. Now the next question is, I have to change it into seconds. So what is my minute data that I have got? 300. So this 300 minutes, I am going to multiply it with 60. Now why 60? If you remember, 1 minute is equal to how many seconds? 60 seconds. So if 1 minute is 60 seconds, so 300 minutes will be how many seconds? So 300 into 60, I will be calculating. And what is the answer that I get over here is 18,000 seconds. Okay, so always remember, whenever you are converting larger quantities, you have to multiply it with 60. But then if you are asked to convert hours directly to seconds, you cannot directly jump to seconds. You have to first convert hours to minutes, minutes to seconds. Then we have here one more question, one more example. Okay, by converting, when we have to convert smaller quantity to larger, that means seconds to hours. At that time, we are going to divide the smaller quantity by 60. So therein we were multiplying the larger quantity by 60. Here we are dividing the smaller quantity by 60. So let's see how to solve this. I have got 3000 minutes. Okay. So 3000 minutes, I have to convert it into hours. So minutes directly to hours. So what will I do? I will divide it by 60. What is the answer that I'll be getting over here? So what I'll do now here is very simple mathematics that we are going to do is cancel out the two zeros which are there. Okay. Now we are left with 300 divided by 6. Now when we do 300 divided by 6, what is the answer that I'll get? 6 5s are 30. So 50 hours is the answer. So 3,000 minutes is equal to 50 hours. And with the conversion, we move on to the next part, wherein we are now further going to study about the different kinds of clocks. Okay, different types of clocks which the people used to use and analyze the time interval from. So now the first thing that you will see over here is a sundial. Now basically when we talk about sundial, it is working in the principle with the principle of uh, the casting of the shadow based on the position of the sun. Casting of the shadow of whom? Now there is one very particular part of the sundial which is called as gnomon. Okay, now here in the picture itself you can see gnomon here is a triangular structure which is vertically attached in the center of the semicircular or a circular sundial. Okay, and the shadow of this gnomon helps used to help the people at that period of time to get to know what time of the day it is. Okay, so I'll be playing one short video for you all over here to make you understand better how does a sundial exactly works.
Okay, so now here I am not using a broad daylight, I am using here an artificial light, and we can clearly observe over here that the shadow of the Norman is being casted. You can see the even the length of the shadow of the Norman at this period of time, and if you see the light is wherever the shadow that is being casted, it is opposite to where the light is falling. So if say the light is falling from say from the right hand side, the shadow is being casted on the left hand side of the Norman. Clear everyone? Now here what more to understand. Now as you will see that the light is rising up. Okay, as the light rises up, you can clearly see that it is changing its position, and as it is changing its position here, as the time interval is mentioned, based on that the people during that time used to understand what time of the day it is. Now one more thing to observe over here is, now when the time or when the light was placed to from the left hand side and it was very low, okay, in its position, we could clearly see that the shadow at that period of time was long. Okay, and as the light has started rising up, the shadow slowly and steadily it becomes short. Okay, slowly and steadily when you take it more or higher up, you will see that it has now directly reached on top of say the range that is 12 o'clock. Okay, and here it has become, the length of the shadow has become the shortest, and when you again take it more towards say the right hand side, you will see again the length of the shadow slowly and steadily it starts rising up. Okay, and when it will go more forward down, will fall more down in the process, you will see that the length of the shadow has increased.
Works. Now let's move on to the next part wherein the other types of clocks which were used during that period of time. Now when we talk about this particular, which is called as the hourglass. Okay, so hourglass, it is basically having a lower and an upper chamber which is consisting of some sand particle, and these sand particles, very tiny sand particles. Now the basic principle behind this uh, hourglass is that it works, or the sand particles which are falling from the upper chamber to the lower chamber, the soil particles are falling down in constant speed and with constant amount. Okay, so the number, the amount, the value doesn't change, it remains the same, but it is not very useful in order to determine the time interval at each time period, but then somewhere or the other it helped in analyzing and understanding the hour basis of a time period. Okay, so the predetermined time, if you would have if you take at that, on that basis the data could be received, the data could be analyzed on the hourly time interval. Okay, now the next type of clock which was used by the people was the water clock. Okay, now water clock, here again it is on the same principle, or it is somewhat same as the sun clock. The only difference here is the use of water. Okay, here the water, again the water either flows in or out in equal interval, and the measure of the water was taken which was getting collected in the container. The level of the water was calculated, and based on that measure the time interval was studied. Okay, so here we see two types of water clocks. One is inflow water clock and the other one is outflow water clock. Now inflow water clock means the water is flowing inside from the container, and based on the decrease in the water level the time interval was collected or studied. And when outflow, when we say, that means the water gets collected in the container, and as it rises up, based on the number, based on the markings on the container, the time interval was done. Now, the next clock that the people used to have at that period of time was the candle clock. Now, this candle clock, there was marking which were made on the candle. Now, here you can even see a picture, okay, and the marks that they were making, one mark was equal to 10 minutes. Okay, so based on the decrease in the length of the candle, the time period was analyzed. Okay, so markings were made in the candle, and as there was decrease in the length of the candle, the time period data was analyzed by them. So these were the different kinds of clock that were used by the people at that period of time. Now coming on to the last part of the session today, that is about simple pendulum. Now when we talk about simple pendulum, okay, the pendulum clock, when we say, it is basically built up in the with the principle of periodic motion. Now if you remember periodic motion, it means when you are having repeated motion, okay, after equal interval of time, that means the same motion. So if I have an object over here, it's moving from point A to point B, it is coming back to point A, and the same repeated action is taking place continuously. Okay, so that action, that motion is called as a periodic motion. So the pendulum, as it shows the same characteristic, so the basic principle behind the pendulum or making of a pendulum clock was the understanding of the periodic motion. Now here I am again going to show you a small activity on pendulum, wherein you will get to learn about how a pendulum works, what are the basic terms which are used when we are talking about the motion of the pendulum, where you will be learning about oscillation, what is one oscillation, what is the time period of one oscillation.
So here we are talking about simple pendulum. Now here you can see a simple pendulum. What does it exactly look like? So let's divide it. What all are the different parts of the simple pendulum? So here you can see a metallic bob structure, okay, which is a metal bob. Then it is attached to a string, and this string is attaching it to a rigid structure, which is going to help us to understand how does this pendulum exactly works, and what do we understand by the term oscillation, one oscillation, and the time period taken for per oscillation. Okay, so now here when I talk about oscillation, what do I understand by this term oscillation? So here you can see this bob. What I'll do now is I am going to take this bob a bit far away from its central position, okay, and I'm going to leave the bob. Now as soon as I leave, this is the position that I am leaving it from, okay, then after some time we see that this bob is coming back again to the same position from where I had left it. Okay, so when we see this motion in simple term, we call it as to and fro motion. That means it is going from point A to point B, and then it is returning back to point A. So that is a to and fro motion, and this motion we call it as oscillation motion. Clear? Now, then we have this consideration, and then we have one more term over here which we call it as one oscillation. So whenever I am going to again displace this bob, I am going to displace it from point A. It is going to point B, and it is going to come back again to point A. So when the bob is moving from point A to point B, and then it is coming back to point A, so this is called as one oscillation. Okay, it's not just from point A to point B it will be considered as one. No, it is moving from point A to point B, and then it is again returning back to point A. That's the to and fro motion, and this is considered as one oscillation. And the time that is taken by this bob to come back to move from point A to point B and come back to point A, that is considered as the time period for one oscillation.
So here we got to know what do we understand by oscillation motion. That means movement of the bob from A to B and back to A. That's oscillation, which is considered as one oscillation. And the time that is taken for this whole process to take place, that is the time period for one oscillation. Now, one of the most important factor over here when we are talking or when we are considering oscillation motion or calculating the one oscillation for a pendulum. So here what matters is the length of the string. Okay, so if the length of the string is more, that means if you increase the length of the string, the time period for one oscillation will also increase. And when you decrease the length of the string, that means the thread to which you have thread to which the bob is attached, if you're decreasing that size, the length of the string, then the time period will decrease.